Thanks for clearing that up. Recording wise. All right. Good stuff, Frankie.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2.
Fergie Bird.
Wow, hello there.
And Frank. It's so cool having a little man. I can't believe it's 2 years.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing me to bring my 2-year-old son with us.
Yeah.
With
what
me.
up, Frank? He's putting some laps on, man.
Yeah, it's really great. A lot of times parents, they'll find it very challenging to get their kid to really get that energy out before nap time. That's not so much a challenge for me. Today. That's not so much. Why am I saying that? Why would I do that to myself? Today. That's not a problem today.
He's a tall little man.
Yeah.
He loves those guitars and drums, eh?
He does,
He's got music all in him.
That's the parental karma that I deserve. I was the kind of kid that bought a drum kit as soon as I could. I got a paper route so that I could buy a drum kit.
Really?
And I did. A $75 drum kit. They tried to upsell me to the $150 drum kit.
What's up?
Because it had a double kick pedal, which I was very interested in.
They got you to the counter and they tried to bump you to the strategy piece with all the margin.
It was like one of those instances where they're like, oh, $75 drum kit. And me, like 12 probably, roll up there and I'm like, oh, I want it. And they're like, it's good, I guess. But, for just a couple dollars extra, you can get the one with the double kick pedal. and I was listening to a lot of Metallica at the time.
Of course.
It was of great interest, but it's literally double the price. I was 12. $75 was more money than I ever had seen
there
before.
Making the purchase on your own, no parental
Oh, no, I was there with my dad, with my pops.
course,
My pops was there to advise me
What
on
shop
the purchase. It wasn't a shop at all. It was what was it was the under 100 ads through the St. Catharines Standard.
Wow. So you just, in what way would they, just a private guy trying to upsell?
Just private guy, yeah. The only reason why I suspect that it was like a potential upsell was that my dad was like, I think that guy was trying to lure you in with the $75. My dad doesn't sound like this, by the way. He's trying to lure you in with the $75 kit, so you'll buy the 150. Sage knowledge, and smart, and the sales side of things. It's a smart move. I wanted the $150 kit. I did not get it.
No.
Anyways, parental karma that I deserve.
So
this was me as a kid. Frank is
route.
expressing great interest in drums as well.
Paper route you would recommend aspiring musicians get a paper route.
But, yeah, I guess but that was the sort of a convenience of the time too. People were delivered the news through the paper.
Right.
And as much as I think there's still a lot of place for journalism and even a paper, a lot of times people aren't getting the news from that paper. So, it's a little different. There's probably not as many positions available anymore. I ate them all up.
You guys are in studio recording a new album?
Yeah, we're kind of in the thick of it right now. We've put everything down. We put all the tracks down, and now we're in the mixing process. So we're going to go in and clean things up. We're going to go in again, and then we're going to get those audio levels to a place where we're comfortable, and then we'll hand them over to the people that do this for a living, and they'll mix it, master it, and make sure that it sounds just right.
You excited about it then?
I'm very excited about it. Yeah, this project has been a long time coming. Some of these songs we've been playing all tour long, and we've played more shows this year than we have
How many?
Probably most years combined. I don't know off the top of my head, to be perfectly honest, but we were gone for most of the summer. Mm-hmm. We did the entire country, and by that I mean we crossed the entire country. It's not like we had a chance to play in literally every city. That would be some Santa Claus shit that we're incapable of. And we did the States this year too. So we really got a chance to spread our wings much further than ever before. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we played those songs a lot. But I didn't have those lyrics written, so we were using sort of Frankenstein versions of old songs lyrically. So I'm excited to get the music out, but it's even extra exciting for me because now I'm getting the chance to hear the songs like they're going to be.
Studio,
as
compared to when you're doing them live.
And with the right lyrics, with the lyrics written for the song.
When you're doing them live, are you finding that they're different every time you do them?
They'll always change. I think that our band is the kind of band that, especially considering we've been playing together for so long, we have the privilege. That's a privilege to be able to kind of take liberties and to just feel the music. Play what you're feeling instead of what it says on the page.
Right.
When we started out, that was not the case at all. But at this point, yeah, for sure, things change every night. If you listen to, hey Frank, if you listen to Smile on the album and you listen to Smile live, Obviously, they're the same song, but things like my timing, and in even some cases, the vocabulary that I choose to use, they'll change.
You want to go on the podcast with me?
Hey, bud.
Hey. Beautiful man. So I thought we'd just sit down and do kind of like an air check, for lack of a better term. I did one with Jihad from Road Waves. We just went through Red Sun Rising and played the whole thing. And then when I ran it by you on the phone, you're like, yeah, let's do the first one.
Let's do the first
Check
one.
the barometer. I even forgot that EP was your first one. I always go with, what was the second one?
You can't do this.
Yeah, you can't do this. I don't know why I consider it. I totally forgot about Check the Barometer. Well, one, because I don't have it in my collection. So
yeah, we kind of, it's not so readily available. It is on Bandcamp today, and we are going to make it available on Spotify eventually, but we're in no rush to do so. It's a very old album. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited to talk about it. I mean, sincerely, when we wrote this album, we performed this album, recorded it, we were literally a different band, even though we were the same band.
Oh, yeah. Well, the band's evolved quite a bit, right? From back in the day when Nelson, Beatty, and Dano started it together?
Nelson, Beatty, and Dano, and Nelson was the primary songwriter on this first album.
Right.
As far as the players are concerned, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, sousaphone is present on this album as well. Most of them are different. I can think of one person that's the same, Alex Duncan, who plays that sousaphone. He also plays trombone. And then alternatively, it's myself, Dano, and our bass player, Frazier. We are the only ones that are still in the band that are on that album. So it's cool to see, and it's cool because if you are more familiar with the recent material and you haven't heard this album, it gives you a chance to see where it came from. It wasn't always the most recent album.
Well, tell the listeners a little bit about that evolution. Like, I mean, you've come, a long way since. And we got to talk about the YouTube haters too. But
sure,
I love that video, man.
Yeah, it's been a long journey.
The Bell Tolls.
Yeah, as far as my association with the band is concerned, I was asked to be a part of the band. It was already called My Son the Hurricane, but I was pretty close with Nelson and Dano, who started it. And when I first kind of introduced myself to the world of hip hop, it was a group called Baked. And I was young, and we had a lot of fun. I really like to practice the fundamentals of punk rock, even though I never listened to punk rock. We were kind of like that, but in the realm of hip-hop. And really, the goal was just to get on Scene Festival. We wanted to do Scene Festival. At that time, Scene Festival was the thing. Yeah. And we were at that age where it was like, this is the thing, and I need to do it. And so we put together this band, Baked, and we did it. And we put together this awesome package for Scene Festival. They let us play. It was great. But also, it was one of those moments where I realized that this I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this, much more so even than some of the projects that I was doing, that I was looking at a little bit more professionally at the time. And so I started to consider hip-hop as an outlet for me. At the time, I was doing metal music.
All metal every day.
And then I just kind of, I don't know, it took a little bit of time for me to get to the point to where I could actually talk about my feelings and like real true stuff, like the kind of stuff that I've tried to get better at with My Son the Hurricane. And it came together when I started playing acoustic guitar. I used to just play like very much like Everlast, like Whitey Ford Sings the Blues. And that was a big inspiration for me, on top of guys like Buck 65 or Tom Waits and some of these guys that Tom Waits, for example, or Bob Dylan, guys that have songs that are almost rap-like. You just never throw that category on their name ever. Like Subterranean Homesick Blues. It's a rap song, man. Straight up.
Yeah, and it's almost like a spoken word performance from the standpoint that
absolutely
they're not really singing it.
And really, those two things are very similar as well. And that's I'm glad you brought that up. Frank's just the kind. You have timpanis back there.
Got a little bit of rhythm to him.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
But the band's come a long way, man. Like I said, even from the Bell Tolls, is that what it's called?
From the Bell Tolls by Metallica.
Yeah, like that was a pretty.
That was a
big video for you guys.
It did really well. We learned when doing that Metallica is sacred. In that people will watch it because it's Metallica, but also Metallica is sacred. You don't touch Metallica.
When Jihad and Road Waves covered Pink Floyd, I'm like, dude, first of all, nobody covers Floyd. It's a sacrilege, and thank you. It's awesome. Yeah, like, they really made it their own. You know what I mean? But there's certain things. So yeah,
I
the
think
Metallica
that
fans came out to defend their product, eh?
Absolutely, and I'm a Metallica fan. You know, I can understand that. And I'll be honest, out of all the performances I've ever done of that song, that by no means was one of the better ones. The video, it was just a day that it wasn't working. But as much as, of course, there's a part of me that thinks that, maybe I should have gone back and redid it, or maybe we should have not released it. That part is very small, and I pay no attention to it. The reality is, it was a great practice in. Not humility. I'm not humiliated by it by any means. You know, I encourage people to go in there and make those comments. It was a great practice in digital marketing because we did encourage people to get that. We got views. Every time anybody posted anything, at the end of the day, I win. I got the view.
Yeah.
And, it prepared me for the future as well. Singing somebody else's lyrics and having people come out and tell you you suck. It sucks, but it doesn't suck nearly as much as somebody telling you your lyrics suck.
I think I was listening to Gary Vee the other day, and he's like, "Listen, you're gonna get bent out of shape about Scotty Skateboard 68543.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have he's got an avatar for his picture. He doesn't even have an anonymous account, and he thinks you suck. And he how shitty must his life be to spend the time watching your product and then to shit on it,
And how humbled am I that you took the time to post? Sincerely,
Yeah.
My job is to provoke emotion. As far as that specific device is concerned, an online video, and no matter what emotion you get back at me with, you've proven that I've engaged. In today's world, the only provable way to show that somebody's paying attention to anything on your computer screen is a click. The click.
Right.
And if you type something, you've not only clicked, you've clicked twice actually, because you had to click on the bar, and you've had to click send.
And you're boosting
and
the
you've typed.
Algorithms or whatever. You're getting it.
So there's all that stuff. Now you've made my metrics more provable, and it's great. It's
and then
really
I
great.
loved when you came out with the haters. You're reading all the emails.
We just like to have fun. We were out in Owen Sound one night. We were doing a Lupercalia festival. And
is that when you did that video?
Yeah.
When you read the email?
Yeah.
It looked like there was a little bit of production behind it, but no.
Well, we've always had some pretty talented people on the team. Brian Walters was a trumpet player of ours at one time, and he plays for Casey Roberts now, which is a great band out of Toronto. If you haven't had a chance to check him out, but he was on the team for quite a while, and he always traveled with a camera, and he was trying to get better at videography. So he was very willing to try things out.
Yeah.
And Dano and I are always either busting each other's balls or trying to come up with some sort of angle on a skit for something that's going on in our circumstances. Like, we're working on a skit right now. It's going to be funny. It's about nu metal.
Some of the skits, man. Yeah, I love the content, but sometimes I'm going, oh. Why's my voice looking stupid again?
That's the way it is, It's funny. Now that I'm a parent, I take the opportunities to look stupid. You got to prove to your kid that happens. You got to take it. You just accept it. That's
Frank, you need help getting that open or what? It's lunchtime or what?
It's funny you say no, but you're putting it in my hands. Oh, okay.
What do you got?
What are these? Nay. Okay. I'll open them for you, buddy. Very slowly. I'm going to have to bite these, bud. There you go. There you go.
Chocolate or gummies?
Oh, they're little fruit snacks, eh, bud? Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. But that's what's cool. And being in a band in 2018, from my experience, has been really cool because, as much as I love making music, clearly, obviously, music is a huge part of my life. It's probably one of the biggest components of my life. It's not the only thing I like. I really love telling jokes as well. And luckily, this band and the fact that it's 2018, we can do that. Yeah, stand-up, man. I'd love to get into stand-up. I probably will, actually, this
I think I caught your first gig at Mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, you filmed it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wow.
You filmed it.
Yeah,
it's around. Yeah, I definitely have it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's on my drive or something.
Really?
I'll go back and reference it every once in a while when I think about doing stand-up, just to remind myself that it's not easy.
I'm a data whore. I also lose data like crazy. And I remember one time I copied everything using image capture over to my drive.
Yeah.
And then used image capture to delete everything off my phone. And, months later, I went back to try and find something, and it was gone. And it was a 6-month window of data that was off my camera on my phone. And for weeks I looked for, because I got multiple drives. I got a time cap and things like that. So I'm going everywhere. Look, where did I put this thing? Where did I put it? And I couldn't find it. For weeks I looked for it. And then I had to call it dead. I had to say, okay. And I mourned. I mourned for days. Like,
I hear you.
Like, we
I got a terrible
outtakes
story
from
for
the
you.
movie Fight.
Oh, yeah?
That I did a walk-on part, very small part.
And killer quality, I bet, too, if it was for that production.
I was behind, and you get Erica and Jay laughing it up and everything like that, and I just thought, it was like a stab in the heart.
Are you ready to feel real sad? So when I started recording music, it was on an 8-track player, because my brother had an 8-track player. And as a result, a lot of my rapper friends would come to me, and I made beats at that time. It was through Music Generator, MTV Music Generator for PlayStation 1. That's how I made beats first. So I'd make these beats, and I made them for a bunch of my buddies. They would do them at like Starvathon and school assemblies and stuff like that. And then we started recording music. So I had all of that music. I transferred it over to the first computer that was capable of recording music that I purchased from my paper route.
A lot of shit from your paper route. Eh?
Yeah, it was a really profitable paper route. It was a newspaper we were dealing.
Delivering the Standard?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for years, a lot of years. And then I started working at Zeller's after that. It's just an all Canadiana story here. What was I talking about? Awesome. What was the thing we were talking about here?
Beats on a.
Oh, right. So I started making beats there. And
do you see that? I picked up the conversation. Like, I'm usually the one that gets lost too.
Transferred all of that information, tons of songs, lots of material, lots of beats that had never been made. I transferred it all over to the computer that I purchased with my paper route, a 333, a Pentium, probably one, yes, definitely one, 333, with 8 gigabytes on it of hard drive space. Anyways,
8 megabytes.
Yeah,
they
probably.
Didn't have a gigabyte
Probably. It must have been gigabytes though, because I had music on there. 8 megabytes would have been what, like a couple songs?
Yeah, there's no way it was a gig.
Maybe it was only 2 gigabytes.
The first hard drives that I know were 40 megabyte drives.
Oh yeah, the first hard drive I had would have been for when I was running Windows 1.5 on my Commodore 64. So what's a 12.5 floppy hold?
144K.
Yeah. So I transferred it all over to that computer. Then
Can you believe it? Where did I pull that from? 144K. Is that really what
I don't know. You said it with such confidence. I just accepted it as truth, though. See, that's how fake news works.
That might have been a 3.5-inch floppy.
And it's great that neither of us have made a dick joke at this point. Anyways.
Or will we?
Transferred it over to, I eventually got an E-machine from Best Buy or something like that. It was a newer computer. I forget what the specs were on that. It wasn't in such informative years that I remember the specifics. Transferred it all over to that. Then eventually I bought a laptop off a friend of mine, Steve Shapox. That's right. I'm dead naming him. Steve Shapox.
Dead naming. That term just was born last week. You've already jumped on it.
If I had to dox him, I would, but I'm going to dead name him. And that laptop did everything. That laptop was the laptop that I recorded every Baked song on. It was the laptop that I recorded every Hospital song on. And it still exists today. My dad uses it as a recording laptop at his house today. Okay. It's there. It's still going strong. So thank you, Steve Shapox. I appreciate that. There was a couple weird things on the computer when I got it, though. We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, please.
Took all of that, though. I took all of that music, and I transferred it over to, eventually I got a MacBook. And that time period went on. So now all of this information is on my MacBook, right? Anyways, one day I wake up in the morning and fire up my computer, probably to go on MySpace. This is around the era that we're talking about. And it doesn't fire up. I get what's referred to as the blue screen of death, which you have a Mac product here. I don't know if you've experienced it. Yeah. Essentially, it means that your hard drive's fried. I took it into the Mac Outpost because they were the only ones that would service Mac computers at the time. In fact, I went to Future Shop first and asked, hey, do you guys sell Mac products? And the douchebag looks me in the eye and goes, yeah, right, buddy. Direct quote. Yeah, right, buddy. Anyway, so I took it to Mac Outpost.
Call me buddy.
Mac Out, and also, like,
buddy.
Are we going to take this to a personal place here, man? I'm not asking your personal opinion on Mac products. And by the way, in the next 3 years, they started selling Mac products like crazy. Like,
right.
Whatever. I'm not getting into a pissing match about your preferences. Took all that information, transferred it from my MacBook to a laptop that I had between that and what I currently have. And
this is for you, buddy.
I lost everything.
There you go.
Literally everything.
Oh, that's stuff. I'm telling you.
Literally all that music from my very first computer to the computer I had prior to this one that I currently have. Oh. Everything. And so I harvested that hard drive out of that computer, and it's hanging on my wall to remind me to back my shit up.
You still can't access it.
It's gone. It's gone. It's fried. And songs I recorded at 17 years old till 25 or something like that. Wow. So back up your shit is what I'm trying to say.
You're ready to feel real sad? Jacob's got a story for you.
But it's pretty cool. It looks cool. It's a good conversation starter. People walk into the studio and they're like, hey, why do you have a hard drive hanging on your wall? Dummy. That's not what it's supposed to be for. And I'm like, oh, right. Well, take a seat. Let me tell you a tale.
Grab that box of Kleenex over there. You tend to be the emotional type. Your rap project.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Which one? Jake and Jack?
Yeah. I was like the guy that interviewed your other half the other day. He's like, is it Jack and Jake or Jake and Jack?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jordy, we actually had a conversation about that beforehand. I'm pretty sure he did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how we bust balls.
I never know which way it is now.
Jake and Jack's going great. It was with Jack Shit. He's an old friend of mine. When I mentioned earlier today that I was writing beats for other people so they could perform them at the high school we went to, it's Jack. It's Jack Shit I was making beats for. And he was the guy that I recorded songs for on my brother's 8-track as well. Anyways, T and I. He's most known for his success in King of the Dot, the battle league out of Toronto, which, by the way, they just released the movie yesterday, Bodied.
Okay.
It's called Bodied. It was a movie that was produced, I believe, or there was some sort of endorsement from Eminem, financial endorsement from Eminem. But it was put together by Organic, the guy who runs King of the Dot out of Toronto, and written by Kid Twist, somebody that Jack Shit actually battled for the title of King of the Dot.
Wow.
Quite a few years ago now. Yeah. But he did really well in that league, and now he's writing music with me and Jake and Jack. It's been pretty good. We got a chance to open up for Shad the other day, literally our first show ever. So that was an honor.
Playing in the soft seated.
Oh, it was in Robertson, so it was the hall. So it was. Okay. I think the kids would say it was pretty lit. Actually, no, that was last month. It was.
I don't think I've seen anything in Robertson. I've been to the First Ontario Pack.
Yeah,
Robertson's a smaller one where they have a lot of the
there's a couple different. So there's Partridge Hall,
which is the one with the windows at the back.
Yeah, it's the one. Robertson Hall is the one.
Yeah,
with the
Lalama played there. I think his series was.
That sounds about right. Have you been to any cabarets? We do the cabarets in Robertson as well.
Okay.
But they do bring out the
seated.
It can tables? Be. They have bleachers that they can pull out.
I've never seen
but we you don't pull bleachers out for a rap show. Actually, this was like almost a proof of concept for them because they want to continue to do shows of this nature at the First Ontario Performing Arts Center. It's sincerely one of the best venues I've ever played in. Never mind in town. So yeah, it's really nice that they're broadening their horizons as far as the artists that they'll bring in. But they've had some pretty cool stuff. Kid Koala has been through there this year. A Tribe Called Red, I think, was just last weekend.
I just missed that. A friend of mine called me at 7 o'clock today. I got tickets. I'm like, you know what?
Have you seen them?
No,
they're
she
incredible.
Called me Friday night to go. I couldn't make it. It was just too late to notice.
And Shub too. Shub separately, amazing artists and just very unique sounds. Like you don't really get a chance to hear some of that music mixed with EDM, and they really do a great job of mixing those things together. In any event, also happened at the First Ontario Performing Arts Center, and it sounds like they're gonna really start inviting more rap artists to the stage. So it's cool.
So
we're really happy to do it.
How many projects do you have on the go at once?
Well, Hurricane is my project.
Yeah.
Hurricane's the thing that I do. If you look at my Facebook profile recently, I changed the top billing to Mice and the Hurricane. That's right. I'm one of those guys.
You're the only front person in rock and roll. What the hell were you thinking when you put front person up there?
Oh, it's just because there's two people in our group and we don't share the same gender. So at least it's nondescript, right?
Okay.
It's like, to me,
I'll never stop busting balls on that one, man.
Oh, and I would never expect you to. I don't know. I'll be honest, though. Part of it is it's a conversation starter, too, right? Like, it's not like to be the person in front of a band is a gender-specific role, so what the hell do I care?
Front woman, front man.
But front woman sounds weird to me, too. But front man, I guess, sounds weird in the same respect, too, if you really think about it. I don't know. I honestly just don't want to think about it. That's why I say front person.
So again, how many? Obviously, Hurricanes your main gig right now, but then you've got Jake and Jack.
Yeah, Jake and Jack is an ongoing thing for us. We
how many others you got?
There's others, but nothing too official. Like Hurricanes #1, Jake and Jack is a number 2. Everything else is just a one-off or a recreational thing. I'm involved with like Suitcase and Point, for example, but I haven't really had a chance to do much with them.
He's got the sticks now.
Oh, does he? I might have to go address this.
Frank on drums. He's got the sticks. He's not just using his hands or the brushes anymore. He's down with the drumsticks. So.
No sticks, please.
Oh.
I know, what a bummer, man. I know. Let me show you how these brushes work. You see on the floor, they're really quiet. There you go.
Filled with music.
Playing it like a trumpet.
All right, so
yeah, this first album totally different as far as the climate of the band was concerned. As mentioned, there was a few of us that are in the band today that were in the band then, but even where it was recorded, we recorded this album at Grant Avenue Studios on Grant Avenue in Hamilton.
As McConnell would say, the song that started it all. And a great video, too.
Yeah, I love the video. That video, by the way, if you check it out, that's the house I lived in.
Daisies.
Daisy's the one McConnell says started it all, yeah. But really, this is the one that actually started it all. This is our first single. The house in that video is the house I lived in at the time, and my good friend Jamie lives there still today. Did you hear that?
Brushes.
Was that a paradiddle?
Frank on drums. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
He must think that I'm telling jokes, and he's just giving me that. Just doesn't realize that the different drums make different sounds.
So what album's Daisy's on?
Album. That's on the next album. That's on You Can't Do This.
Oh, okay.
This one we put together, these were the first songs we ever wrote. And Nelson Beatty was a huge part of that writing process at the time. Grant Avenue Studios is very different than the studios we've recorded in since. This one is most known for Baby Beluga was recorded there.
Baby Beluga?
Baby Beluga. Bob Deutsch.
Oh.
And also Bob Deutsch was most known for the Red Green theme song. That was something he made. It's just not that into you, man. And very different time.
EP.
4-song EP. This one was the single, so we really focused on it. Like, we really spent a lot of time on it. But even listening to it, like, it's hilarious. The faults that I hear. Like, verse 1, for example, is 12 bars. It's a 16-bar verse. I just don't do the last 4 bars. But that was a stylistic choice I made at the time. Like, I don't know, it's hilarious. Even to me, when I look back at this project, I'm like, who was that? Who would have made that decision?
Well, the recording must have been a lot different, too, as far as you almost went from the floor from this thing? Or?
It was a lot closer to that, yeah. We still did, like, a scratch with rhythm section and then did the horns, but we would record the horns all together at the time. Now we record one horn at a time.
Oh, you're right.
And there's even tuning issues on this album. I don't really hear them, like, so prevalently, but I'm getting better with that. I know they used to complain about it a lot. To me, though, coming from a world of hip-hop, I'm actually more used to horns being out of tune. Don't worry, we'll take care of Softy. We got him. Honestly, he hasn't been eating that much, and I know what he's eating isn't the most healthy stuff in the world. But I'm just so happy to see him eat. Like, those fruit snacks are at least made of fruit. I'm cool with that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make the perfect child here.
Looks perfect to me, man. And who contributed on this song, vocally?
So that's Shane Phillips. Sugar Shane is his name. He was the original singer of the group, and actually he's the singer on Pushing Up. No, he's not on Pushing Up Daisies. Yeah, no, he absolutely is on Pushing Up Daisies. Right. He was a big part of the band for a long time. He's out of Guelph. originally. I think he actually lives in the States now. He's continued on.
So he was in the band? He wasn't just contributing?
He was absolutely in the band.
Oh, okay.
And
so you've had multiple singers since the beginning?
Yeah, but he was the only other one.
Okay.
It was Sugar Shane, and then we decided not to have a singer for a lot of years, and we would have guests come up. Sarah Beatty, for example, was a guest. Was a guest for us for years.
Love to see those guys get back together.
Oh,
I mean, I know she's doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, she's killing it. She's killing it right now.
Yeah, Bandit Queen's a great album. Check out Sarah Beatty's Bandit Queen. You can find it everywhere.
She's awesome.
Tight.
And it's really cool, too, because she has this really cool mix of, like, understanding melody. Like, she writes really good songs. Like, she's an excellent songwriter. But she's an incredibly intelligent person. Like, the vocabulary that she uses. Like, when you listen to a rap song, you don't expect to hear these gigantic vocabularies. That's why guys like A$AP Rock really stand out. Or even Wu-Tang Clan, you know. Their vocabulary tends to be a little bit more diverse. If you listen to Sarah Beatty's songs, it's like she talks very scientifically about certain things. Like love, for example. And just the choice of words, it's so out of the ordinary, but it's still excellent songwriting. It's a great mix. Definitely worth checking out. So
what did she contribute on?
She was just somebody that would come and do those vocal parts for us live for a long time. And
Back
a lot
up
of that.
Or lead?
She would do the lead.
Both?
She would do the lead. And she would be the only person because nobody else really sang at the time. Like right now we have Sylvie and Chris Sippis, our guitar player. Too? Chris does backup vocals for everything. Okay. Even on the album, he's the backup vocalist.
We got to get into Sleeping Sippis.
Oh, we will. And so she would just come up for the live shows. And that's actually how it started with Sylvie. Sylvie, being a friend of ours, she moved to St. Catharines years ago with Nelson because they were all in a band called The Funky Truth together. And they used to play with the Marantz Project at the Mansion House.
Great band.
That's how we got to know her. We were playing one night, No One Sound, and we just reached out to her like, hey, Syl, we noticed, you know, you're going to be in the same city as us. Do you mind maybe learning a few of these lyrics and coming on up? And she was like, oh, I already know him. I'll be there. And we're like, great.
Really?
And then she came out for breakfast the next morning. That's the thing with Hurricane. It's funny, you know. Some bands spend a lot of money on booze. We spent a lot of money on breakfast. We're out for breakfast, and she came with her incredibly talented husband, Mike. They write music together, the two of them. And we were going to be in some other city the next day. I forget where. And somebody asked, I think it was actually Chris, so are you coming with us? Like, are you coming to do the next one? And she kind of just like glanced over at Dano, and Dano was like, yeah, like if you'd like to, sure. And she's been in the band ever since. You know, we made it official after that night. After the second night, we were like, this is awesome. Let's continue to do this if you're down. And, you know, it was very organic. It's not like anything was strategized. It was just a circumstantial convenience at one time that turned into the missing piece. Like Sylvie was absolutely the missing piece in our band.
And she's really owning the lyrics too. Like she can take lyrics sung and created originally by different people. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's, you know, the beginning of the album is Ash from USS or whatever, and she just owns it. She's not, you know, she's not trying to duplicate the sound.
No,
she owns it.
Yeah, and she's really nice such a powerful person. Like, you know, she when she uses her voice, it's very demanding. Like, you know, and I really appreciate that. And I try to do that myself. You know, and some people might call it abrasive or anything, especially for me, because
I think it just commands attention.
And that's how I see it too. And I'll be honest, it's a little bit easier to do that when you're doing something so rhythm-based, like metal music. It was kind of easy to do that. You literally get in people's faces and you follow the rhythm.
Right.
And with rap, you can see that would be pretty easy too. It's not so easy when you're dealing with melody, but she does it, and she gets their attention. My God, you've seen it.
Oh,
yeah. It works. So yeah, it was really great that that the cookie just crumbled like that for us. Because sincerely, I do think she was the missing piece. For a long time, you know, things weren't really building. You know, we were kind of plateauing. As much as that pains me even to admit it, but we were. And then Sylvia happened.
You guys are really taking off.
Well, now our thing is we refuse to plateau. Like once we start to get comfortable, we need to take on more.
What do you think the secret ingredient is? Has it been the touring and the exposure from just playing live acts? Because
there's two things that we always talk about. Obviously, there's tons of things that have made this work. Everybody's contributed. Everybody's talented. Everybody's, you know, really dedicated to this project. But there's two things that really happened. Sylvie's one of them. Sylvie's contribution to this project really changed the way that this project's been perceived, and it's changed the way that we perceive this project too.
And presented.
And presented. Stage, yeah. And the other thing is that Dano really picked up as far as responsibility is concerned. When we started this band, we would, we all had desires to do all of it, right? We wanted to make this as big as we could, but that was coming from a bunch of 20-something-year-olds who really know each other because of the common bond of music and having a really good time. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about our vices here. Nobody in the band is, we were really lucky. Nobody in the band's been into anything crazy. Like, when I talk about vices, I'm talking about cannabis and booze. and really cannabis has never been a problem, I'll be perfectly honest, but booze can be a problem for live performance, and we've come to realize that for your lifestyle in general. And so Dano actually quit booze entirely. He's off of it. He's been off of it for a lot of years.
Bottles into gold,
turning bottles into money. And sincerely, he's done a really good job of that. Like, the money that he used to spend on booze, that's insignificant. Everybody talks about that side of things. Yeah. Of course, it's great, and I'm sure he needs that money. But the big change is in his drive. Like,
he's so candid about discussing it too. I mean,
sure, he's there to help.
A little bit. We all struggle with vices, whether it's sugar or sleep or porn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that booze wasn't his biggest problem. It just led to everything else type of thing,
Yeah. And like a lot of our vices, we kind of run toward them in these moments of vulnerability.
Or celebration.
Like
I cut it way back on the weed.
Yeah.
I don't even know why, not even consciously, but the dreams that come back, my clarity, but the dreams come back to a point, like, and last night I did this interview with Elise LeGros, and MJ was here, and Scotty came here after. I got hit with a massive migraine after. I couldn't even clip they had to help me. I couldn't look at the computer screen any longer.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, we smoked in celebration.
Yep.
And then I'm like, why did I do that? Because my heart's like, it doesn't do the same things it used to when I was a kid.
Yep.
My heart starts racing. I'm like amped, like bump, 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 bump. You lay down and you're like, this is going to pound out of my chest.
You're already flying down the slide. Now you just put some ice on your bum.
Yeah, but not in relation to the harmfulness of it. It's not like alcohol. Like, it doesn't make you aggressive. Doesn't lead to other things. It's like, let's go get some harder drugs now. You know what I mean? But
I'm sure it's different for everybody.
And as you age too, it starts affecting you differently, I think.
For me, and the big thing for me, I don't like not drink. I don't especially enjoy it. So something that I've noticed is if I'm doing a performance, and let's say that, and I don't like smoking cannabis before a show either. Like, I got a lot of words to remember. But if I was to do one or the other, you wouldn't notice. If I had smoked cannabis before a show, you wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
Because a lot of what I'm doing is muscle memory, and I can always rely on that. But ironically, because memory is usually linked more so to cannabis than alcohol, if I have 3 beers and I get on stage, I can hear the compromise in my voice. I can hear myself slurring, and rhythm is everything to me. I can't perform properly, like the way I should be able to perform. So I'm not saying one's any different or any worse or any better than the other, but I certainly understand what works better for me.
Awesome.
Glass Joe, by the way, this song was written about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Early Nintendo years? I used to love Punch-Out, man.
Yeah. Have you ever beaten it?
I've beaten it, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never beaten it. I just, for some reason, and I've gone back. I even have one of those new Nintendo, like the little Nintendo things, which has Punch-Out on it. I'm worse than I used to be.
Oh, yeah.
You'd think you'd get better. It's only 2 buttons,
Yeah.
But it's that rhythm.
I'm pretty sure I got to the end of it a few times. I can't remember what the last guy is, but...
I think I got to Soda Popinski's second occurrence.
Oh, right.
Jiggled in heads like I'm Soda Popinski.
Soda Popinski.
Hey, Frankie. You want to come up here?
Look at that smile. Good thing you look like your mother, Frank. I don't know where I got Jack. I called him Jack on the podcast last night with after the interview. I was talking about you coming in today and bringing Jack with
Jake
you.
and Jack.
I don't know why I thought
Jack was a high
Jack used to be my neighbor, and he was cute like him too. So
my mother's name is Jacqueline. My mother's name is Jacqueline, so that was a heavy consideration. I'd appreciate it if you didn't touch the microphone, though. Okay, Jacqueline? bingo bango, dancing in the ring like I'm Don Flamenco. We used to do this funny thing where we would ask when we'd start this song, because it starts with I'd go to the crowd and be like, hey, does anybody have perfect pitch? I'm looking for a concert A. I think it's like this. And we'd wait for them to join in, and then we'd start the song. What's happening, eh?
40 minutes. I had a full charge, but it's been up there for a while, so.
Yeah, man. It was an exciting time. I remember when all this came together. I was working in Niagara-on-the-Lake at a winery, which I continued to work at. I worked at that winery for about 10 years. But I sincerely, and I mean this sincerely, like I gave up music before this band. And it was just because it was so closely linked to everything in my life. And, you know, I had a bad breakup. And, you know, I was just like, it was time for me to change. And as a result of that, I had to kind of catch up on some credits so that I could go to school to be a paramedic. I was going to be a paramedic. It was decided. Screw music. I'm done with it. I'm sick of that. Wow. I'm going to be a paramedic. It's functional. It's helpful. I can go out and I can help people. I can be fulfilled and I can get paid for it. That's what I'm going to do. And then Dano gave me a call and said, hey, man, we got this thing going on. Dano, by the way, was somebody that I would reach out to if I needed percussion for hospitals, which was the project that I was kind of playing around with before I gave it all up. And he was like, hey, man, I'm wondering if you want to be in this band. And I was just like, no. And then he played me something, and I was like, okay. I think it was this song, actually.
Back Pocket?
Yeah. I wrote this song. A lot of times the songs come to me, and they have a title already. It's called Back Pocket. So I assumed it was the back pocket of your jeans, like the opening scene of Saved by the Bell. That's what I was thinking. I guess that's a pool thing. It's just because it has to do with billiards. I had no idea.
You're really dating yourself there, bro.
I was going to say Degrassi. Wait, is it Degrassi?
I don't know.
It's way before Degrassi.
Or after my time.
It's Degrassi. I messed up, man. You think you can take that out in post?
No. There's no post here, bro. I'm looking at the battery to complete the interview. Thanks very much, Apple. Thank you for nothing.
Seriously, do I not sound like a child? I haven't heard this song in a long time. Listen to that cadence, too. I'm young, but I'm pretending to be old. I'm rapping like I'm an old boy. That's hilarious. I find that a lot with broadcasters, too. Like, early broadcasters really feel like they need to put on a voice. And I even, when I line check myself for my first times on 610, it's like, you fool. Like, there's nothing more unnatural than an unnatural voice.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I never really, I mean, I feel like there's a character that comes out. Like I am not my social media feed. I am not who I am on the radio. I mean, I am me still, but it's almost like a character that comes out in you. But I always just rolled with the voice. I mean,
I definitely understand that, and mainly because of Hurricane. Like, it's amazing what people assume of me if they only know me from this band. First of all, they think that I'm into cocaine. That's a first. That's a big one, right out the gate. And I can understand that. Well, and I think it's because it's so high energy, too.
Oh, right.
That a lot of times people just, there's just common association there. I get it. But I'm not, just for clarification. I've never touched this stuff, and I have no intention to do so. But that'll happen a lot. And I addressed this on the new album. Like, what is the line? I forget what it is.
Frankie. How are you, buddy?
It's something but far from inferior, seemingly arrogant like Lake Superior. That's the line. But I find that, too, that if you only know me from this, you'd probably assume that I'm relatively arrogant. And that's because it's rap music. Like, you can't escape the I'm so cool raps. That's a part of the what you do. Yeah. But I've always maintained the same dialogue when it comes to that character. Like, and I said this back in the day when I was in metal, too. I don't believe myself. Like, I believe that I'm capable of rapping, but I meet people every day that don't rap that are better examples of rap culture than I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an actor, man.
Yeah.
And I've learned to play that part exceptionally well. And I mean that sincerely. And I don't mean that to discredit myself. I don't mean to discredit the culture. I don't mean any of that. I just mean that you don't have to rap to be a part of rap culture. And some people live and breathe it. Right. There's a bit of a different culture that I live and breathe. And it's not to say that I can't, and I love to work with that. But at the end of the day, yeah, like, I could be a metal guy tomorrow if you want me to be.
If you want right now.
I could be a metal guy tomorrow if you want me to be. And I'm a comedian. Like, that's a big part of it, too. A lot of times people don't realize that comedians are the saddest people in the world. So it's like, oh, you're a comedian, but you write such, like, emotional music. And it's like, yeah, all comedians are very capable of that. You can't tell jokes unless you're aware of the opposite, at least aware. And if you can't articulate it, then you're probably not great at articulating the funny stuff, too. So, like, to me, it's really nice to be able to mix it up. A song like this, I'm talking about marmots and stuff like that. It's a joke, you know. It's all for fun. It's setting a premise and then telling a joke. Mm-hmm. I love that. I can't do that in metal music. It'd be completely inaudible.
Frank, you got to get nap time in or what? Getting tired out?
Are you getting tired, Frankie?
This might be a good time to end the feed on this part.
Cool.
Just so I don't lose it.
Do you want to say hello, Frankie? Say hello. Hey, who's your favorite band?
Kiku.
That's right, the Eagles, buddy. Who's your favorite band?
Kiku.
That's right, it's the Eagles. Yep, I won't let the sound of my own wheels drive you crazy. Thank you. Take it to the limit. Yep, that's my favorite song, too. One more time. Yeah. He's not into parkour. Oh, you got crap all over your face. Oh, great.
Spit on the camera,
Yeah, you'd look very different if this is your mom's interview. I can tell you that much.
Say bye, Frank.
Say goodbye, buddy.
See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye, buddy.
Bye. That's as good as it gets. You're such a cutie, buddy. There's a microphone at my buddy's house, and he grabs it and totally, like, new metals that thing. He cups it and goes, oh! It's got to be my fault. I've been playing him Sepultura since day one, so.
Oh, good. That got saved. Anyways, we're still on Facebook, so that's just always. I think if the battery dies while you're recording, it doesn't actually save.
That could be, because if you think about the way that would be printed, there's things that it needs to do before you can shut it down. I'm just going to wipe your face, Greg, because it's full of crap. And I don't mind looking like a bad father, but I don't want to look like a terrible father. Come here, mister. Oh! There we go. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Oh, man, those must have been good tidbits, eh? I hope some of them got in your mouth.
Well, thanks for coming in, brother. We could I could go all day with you, but you know, the little man's got to get down soon, so I want to keep you on time, so you're not
appreciate that.
dealing with a cranky young man, eh, Frank?
Cranky Frankie.
His Halloween costume was epic, man. That bus, Frank's bus.
You know, I'm all about.
I forgot. You know what? Next year I will call you. Like if you let me, I'll go out walking with you because like I was looking for. I'm always looking for something. Like Brad Sheen used to have that. I used to.
We got
just get a hold of my buddies with kids and go out with them. Yeah. All my buddies' kids are grown now.
We got so we go to his cousin Sawyer. She her grandma actually lives in a cul-de-sac. So it's really nice. Everybody in this cul-de-sac is all about Halloween. So we do the little cul-de-sac. Then we'll just hit another house or two outside of that. So it's not too overwhelming. It's kind of hard to find neighborhoods that actually like are into Halloween these days. Like I don't live in one. I live downtown St. Catharines, man. I swear I'm the only house that even puts the light on.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer.
It seems like it's different every year. We got a bunch of kids this year.
Did you? Great. Yeah. That's great to hear, man. I'm happy to hear that. I guess it could be that because
I try to scare them when I open the door.
Do you find the parents get pissed?
No.
Parents are pissed at me when I do that. One year this guy yelled at me for it.
Fell right into the house. I'm like, come on in, and there's the. girl just walks in like this. I'm like, hey, help yourself. She's pulling right out the bowl and everything. It's classic.
I love, like, if I could continue to do that, Halloween would be my favorite holiday. Back in the day, we used to do this thing. There's a video called Jacob the Bird. It's online. It's actually the most viewed video that I have something to do with. That. Forget Hurricane is actually that. It must have done well on some site. Anyways, we used to do it every year. One year, we took it to like the next level. So Jacob the Bird was just this bird that we'd have fly in, and we had a speaker system set up, so I could just be like, Happy Halloween, and stuff like that. It was just really creepy and weird. But we took it to the next level because eventually my friend Mike's mom got on board. So she started blasting like all these Halloween songs and stuff. And we pulled the chain out of a chainsaw. This is where it gets a little twisted. We pulled the chain off a chainsaw, so you can run it, but it won't cut you. And what we would do is we'd set it up. This is like year 4 now. So kids know that you're going to get scared at this house. So we set up a decoy. We set up a decoy dummy. Like, so the kids walk up and they're like, seriously, this is all you're doing? This is lame. Obviously that guy's going to try and scare me. So they'll go and get their candy. They'll come down. They'll get a quick boo from the guy. Whatever. They're all acting tough to their buddies. It's not even scary. And then they'll get to the driveway, and that's when Mike fires up the chainsaw. And we chase him out of the neighborhood. Not even the house. Out of the neighborhood. Anyways, we fired up the chainsaw once, and it was this kid. Like, he was acting really cocky. Just like Frank's going to be one day. And he was acting really cocky. So we really gave him the real show. But he was there with his sister. And his sister, like, I'm guessing a younger sister. Yeah, always talking, I know, eh? And Mike fires up the chainsaw. And the little girl does a classic cartoon frightened moment where she, like, her legs went up, like, whoo! And she just, bam! Fell on the ground like this. Starts bawling her eyes out. And now Dad's super pissed. Anyways, that was the last time we ever did it. That dude ruined Halloween. And I'm sure we ruined Halloween for that little girl, too. So, you win some, you lose some. Are you trying to change this from omnidirectional to just directional? Is that what you're trying to do? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had so much to say. Here you go. Okay, it's not Roots Bloody Roots, buddy. You don't need to scream. He loves that song, by the way.
Which one?
Sepultura, Roots Bloody Roots. Roots! Bloody Roots! Dave Grohl once said that in all of the years that he's recorded music, his only aspiration is to match the level of quality that Roots Bloody Roots is recorded in by Sepultura. Wow, it's a great song. You probably know it. I did a bad version of it there. Unrecognizable. Go ahead.
The star of the show.
I know. Are you hijacking this interview? You are my son. Okay, that's not the kind of microphone you want to do that to, buddy. You see, this is a condenser microphone.
Whoa. Just like Daddy.
Oh, I just swallowed some of your hair. Yeah, we're all about doing the things that he likes. So, for example, you know, if he was into Paw Patrol, I guess I'd have to do that too. But he's not. He's into buses. So, like, I'm going to make sure that he gets everything that I can give him as far as that interest is concerned. Because it's not like a licensed item, you know? It's not like
Bless you, son.
It's not like his Halloween costume had Daniil written on it, you know? It's not a branded item. It's just a school bus. And for his birthday this year, when he turned 2, we had all his favorite foods. So it was, and this is served for the entire family. Chicken fingers, steamed broccoli, goldfish, like those I love goldfish because it's so delicious. And cucumber. That's what we served for the entire family, much to their chagrin. Okay, Frank. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. See all of this, Jim? I deserve all of this. This is what I was. This is my parental karma. Yeah, man. It was an absolute pleasure being here. Thanks for having me. I know the intent was to talk about early mice on the hurricane, and we did talk about that for probably about 5 minutes. We talked about a lot of other things too.
Yeah, we got where we needed to go. I appreciate your time, brother.
Absolutely.
Love you, man.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah. Anytime. I'm glad to have you on. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it won't be the last time.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, Frankie.
Buddy, you kind of smell like poo.